The political world is reeling tonight as explosive allegations surface about federal Judge James Boasberg. Former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi has dropped a bombshell investigation revealing what she calls a pattern of judicial misconduct that borders on criminal. Courtroom observers gasped as Bondi presented evidence suggesting Boasberg may have secretly coordinated with prosecutors in multiple high-profile cases. The stunning claims have already triggered calls for impeachment proceedings. In an emotional press conference that lasted nearly 2 hours, Bondi fought back tears while detailing what she described as a betrayal of justice. Holding up stacks of documents, she alleged Boasberg engaged in ex-parte communications, private discussions with prosecutors without defense attorneys present. "This isn't just unethical," Bondi declared, her voice shaking. "This is potentially criminal obstruction of justice." Camera flashes erupted as she dropped the papers dramatically on the podium, the most shocking revelation. Bondi claims to have obtained text messages showing Boasberg advising prosecutors on how to strengthen their case against several conservative defendants. "These aren't just procedural suggestions," Bondi asserted, dabbing her eyes. "These are explicit instructions that cross every ethical line." Legal analysts immediately began debating whether this constitutes criminal conspiracy, with some comparing it to Watergate-level corruption. Sources close to the investigation reveal the probe began quietly 6 months ago when a whistleblower came forward from Boasberg's chambers. This individual reportedly provided the initial evidence that snowballed into today's stunning allegations. The whistleblower risked everything, Bondi revealed, her voice thick with emotion. "They knew the personal and professional consequences but believed the truth had to come out. The informant's identity remains protected under federal whistleblower laws." Reaction from Capitol Hill was immediate and furious. Several Republican senators took to the Senate floor demanding emergency hearings. "This is exactly why Americans distrust the justice system," thundered one visibly angry lawmaker. Meanwhile, Democratic leaders appeared blindsided, with some calling for due process, while others joined demands for Boasberg's immediate suspension. The rare bipartisan outrage signals this scandal may have unprecedented political fallout. Legal experts are scrambling to assess the potential consequences. If proven, Boasberg could face criminal charges including obstruction of justice and conspiracy. More immediately, judicial conduct rules would require his temporary removal from the bench. "We're talking about possible disbarment and even prison time," explained one constitutional law professor. "This strikes at the very heart of judicial impartiality. Hundreds of his past rulings could now face appeals." The human cost of these alleged actions became painfully clear as Bondi introduced several victims who claim they were wrongfully convicted due to Boasberg's interference. One man, who served 4 years before his conviction was overturned, broke down describing how he lost custody of his children. "That judge destroyed my life," he sobbed, gripping the podium for support. The emotional moment left even hardened reporters wiping their eyes. New details suggest the alleged misconduct may have been systemic. Bondi's team reportedly found evidence that certain prosecutors received preferential treatment in Boasberg's courtroom, including advance notice of rulings and tips about defense strategies. "This wasn't just one bad decision," Bondi emphasized. "This was an ongoing conspiracy to rig outcomes. The allegations could invalidate dozens of convictions if proven true." The judicial community is in turmoil tonight. Several of Boasberg's colleagues have issued statements expressing shock while carefully avoiding direct commentary on the allegations. However, one retired judge went on record saying, "If even half of this is true, it's the worst breach of judicial ethics I've seen in 40 years on the bench." The comments suggest deep concern within legal circles about maintaining public trust. Meanwhile, protesters have gathered outside the federal courthouse where Boasberg presided, chanting, "Lock him up," and carrying signs reading, "Justice for sale." Police have erected barricades as tensions rise. The scenes mirror political protests but with an unusual mix of participants, both progressive activists and conservative groups finding rare common ground in their outrage over the allegations. Bondi saved her most explosive allegation for last, claiming Boasberg may have taken bribes disguised as consulting fees from a liberal dark money group. While she admitted this part of the investigation remains ongoing, she presented bank records showing suspicious payments coinciding with key rulings. "Follow the money," Bondi urged, her voice dropping to a whisper. "The truth will terrify you." The dramatic cliffhanger left journalists scrambling for clarification. The personal toll on Bondi became evident as she concluded the press conference. After maintaining a steely demeanor for nearly 2 hours, she finally choked up when discussing why she took on this fight. "I swore an oath to uphold justice," she said, wiping away tears. "When I saw innocent lives being destroyed, I couldn't stay silent." The raw moment humanized the typically tough-as-nails former prosecutor. Legal analysts are already dissecting potential defenses Boasberg might employ. Some speculate he could claim the communications were innocuous case management discussions. Others suggest he may argue the evidence was obtained improperly. But former prosecutors note that text messages appear damning, with one remarking, "There's no judicial immunity for criminal conduct." The stage is set for a historic legal battle. The scandal reaches beyond Boasberg himself. Bondi hinted that other judges may be implicated in what she called a network of corruption. Without naming names, she suggested this could be just the tip of the iceberg, promising more revelations to come. The tantalizing tease ensures this story will dominate headlines for weeks, with speculation running wild about who else might be involved. Victims' families are now coming forward with heartbreaking stories. One woman wept as she described how her son took his life after what she believes was a wrongful conviction. "He kept saying the system was rigged," she cried. "I didn't believe him. Now I have to live with that guilt." Such emotional accounts are fueling public outrage and demands for swift accountability. Behind the scenes, sources say the Justice Department is in crisis mode. Attorney General Merrick Garland has reportedly convened an emergency meeting to determine whether to appoint a special counsel. The decision carries enormous political ramifications, with some warning it could appear like a cover-up if handled internally. All options remain on the table tonight. Historians are drawing parallels to past judicial scandals, but many agree this case stands apart due to its potential scale. Even during Watergate, we didn't see allegations this severe against a sitting federal judge, noted one legal historian. The comparison underscores how this scandal could permanently alter public perception of the judiciary. Financial markets are reacting to the uncertainty. Shares in several companies that recently won favorable rulings in Boasberg's court have plunged amid speculation those decisions could be overturned. Legal observers note this could trigger a wave of civil lawsuits from investors claiming damages, potentially adding billions in liability to the scandal's fallout. Meanwhile, social media has erupted with #judicial corruption trending nationwide. Memes comparing Boasberg to cartoon villains are circulating alongside serious discussions about judicial reform. The unusual blend of outrage and dark humor reflects how the scandal has captured the public imagination while raising profound concerns. Bondi's own motivations are coming under scrutiny from some quarters. Critics note her conservative background and suggest political motives, but even liberal commentators admit the evidence appears troubling. "This isn't about left or right," argued one MSNBC analyst. "This is about whether we have a functioning justice system." The nuanced discussion marks a rare moment of ideological alignment. The international community is watching closely. Several human rights organizations have issued statements expressing alarm, noting that judicial corruption allegations in America could embolden authoritarian regimes worldwide. "When the U.S. justice system falters, it gives dictators cover," warned one Nobel laureate. The global implications add another layer of significance to the unfolding drama. Back in Washington, congressional staffers are working through the night preparing possible legislative responses. Discussions range from judicial oversight reforms to special investigative committees. The rare bipartisan momentum suggests actual reforms may emerge from the scandal, a silver lining some are clinging to amid the shocking revelations. Legal aid organizations report being flooded with calls from prisoners who believe they may have been wrongfully convicted by Boasberg. "Our phone lines have melted down," said one public defender. The overwhelming response hints at the potential scale of cases that may need review, possibly overwhelming an already strained justice system. Religious leaders have begun weighing in, with several prominent faith organizations calling for prayer and reflection. "This isn't just a legal crisis," declared one megachurch pastor. "This is a moral reckoning for our nation." The spiritual framing resonates with many Americans searching for meaning in the shocking revelations. Meanwhile, Boasberg's whereabouts remain unknown tonight. Reporters staking out his home found it dark and apparently empty. Some speculate he may be negotiating surrender, while others suggest he's secured high-powered legal representation. The mystery adds to the drama surrounding one of the most powerful judges in America. The scandal has unexpectedly unified normally divided media outlets. Both Fox News and CNN are leading their broadcasts with near-identical coverage, a testament to the gravity of the allegations. The rare media consensus suggests this story transcends typical partisan narratives, representing a genuine crisis for American institutions. Law schools are scrambling to update their ethics curricula in real time. This will be taught for generations, predicted one constitutional law professor. Some institutions have already announced special seminars analyzing the case, a sign of how profoundly it may reshape legal education and professional standards. Psychological experts are analyzing what could drive a respected judge to such alleged conduct. Some speculate about the corrupting influence of power, while others suggest possible blackmail or coercion. The unanswered questions about motivation add a layer of intrigue to the already sensational allegations. Ordinary citizens are sharing their reactions in heartfelt social media posts. Many express disillusionment, while others voice determination to fight for reform. The national mood appears to be a mix of anger and resolve, with some comparing it to the collective awakening after 9/11, but focused on institutional rather than external threats. Financial analysts warn the scandal could have unexpected economic consequences. Beyond stock market impacts, some predict a chilling effect on business litigation as companies question whether they can get fair hearings. The potential ripple effects across multiple sectors underscore how judicial corruption threatens the entire economy. Hollywood is already circling the story, with multiple production companies reportedly racing to secure rights. The dramatic elements, whistleblowers, secret texts, emotional victims, make it ideal for both documentary and dramatic treatment. The entertainment industry's interest confirms the story's cultural resonance. Legal scholars debate whether this represents an isolated incident or systemic failure. Some argue it exposes fatal flaws in judicial oversight, while others maintain the system ultimately worked by uncovering the alleged corruption. The philosophical divide reflects deeper questions about American democracy's resilience. Meanwhile, Bondi has become an unlikely folk hero to many. Supporters praise her courage in taking on powerful interests, while critics accuse her of grandstanding. The polarized reaction mirrors America's divisions, even as the substance of her allegations appears to transcend typical partisan battles. As night falls on this historic day, one thing is clear: the American justice system faces its greatest credibility test in modern memory. Whether this scandal ultimately strengthens institutions through reform or further erodes public trust may depend on how leaders respond in the coming days. The nation watches and waits. In a poignant coda, the whistleblower who started it all released a statement through their attorney: "I didn't do this for fame or revenge. I did it because the truth matters." The simple declaration captures why this scandal has struck such a deep chord. In an era of cynicism, it's ultimately a story about people risking everything for justice. The echoes of that courage will reverberate long after the headlines fade.